last episode, a question suddenly popped into my head. Which show does retro machines better? BattleBots or Robot Wars? Well, we're about to have that very question answered here tonight. Yes, folks, that's right. It's our very special Retro Showdown. 10 old-school design machines from the old Robot Wars will be taking on 10 retro machines from BattleBots, who we also saw in the last episode to see which show had the better retro machines. I should have done this with proper machines from the original BattleBots, but this seemed more fun, and the machines looked cooler. Sue me. Anyway, let's head to the Battleboard and check out the lineup. Who does retro better? Is it Robot Wars or is it BattleBots? Well, let's see. The CO2 Flipper of Spawn again taking on the spiked lifting arm of Gruff. The CO2 Ram of Cassius taking on the circular swords of Sawblaze. Nemesis armed with a cigarette? Against Blacksmith with our Retro Wars Shamuns with their hammer and lifting scoop. Hypnotist rebuilt just for this competition along with their spinning flywheel against Hijinks for the undercut, the spinning bar. The Dark Destroyer with their rear rotary blade against the two spinning flywheels of Rotator. Chaos with their front CO2 lifting ram against Duck in their front lifting face. Kilotron with their spiked pickaxe and plastic armor against the spinning blade of Monsoon. Stegosaurus with the ramming power and rear CO2 flipper against the two spinning flywheel blades of Riptide. Super interesting, I think. Mortis with the lifting arm and the Tanto axe blade against Tombstone with the spinning bar, and Behemoth with the axe and lifting scoop against the hammer of Beta. Let our little showdown commence! Spawn again! Flipper! The CO2 Flipper on low front has proven to be very effective in the Warzone, and it shouldn't be any different here. The drive, while not fast, is quick enough to keep themselves maneuverable and able to help get them out of danger, but the CO2 supply is limited, and their underbelly is extremely vulnerable. Gruff! Lifter! Running a panic attack build, I see. Well, it should prove helpful, as should the weapon. A forked lifting arm that swings right the way back and can also help the machine right itself if turned over. 6-wheel drive and a seriously effective looking weapon. However, the wheels are exposed. Why did you not build the body slightly higher to cover them?
Roboteers, stand by.
Spawn again with the CO2 powered flipper that made the series semi-finals of Series 3. And Gruff with the lifting forked arm that made the third round of the Retro Wars competition.
2, 1, activate.
Who will come out stronger here, I wonder? Well, it'll be a matter of ground clearance, and Spawn again has Gruff beat on that, throwing Gruff over and again, but each time Gruff's able to self-right, thrown again, and almost again, now he... Well, I think it's safe to say Spawn again is not gonna let up on Gruff. They're gonna keep flipping them. And are they stuck together? Spawn again now up and over, and that's a problem. So this may not be as set in stone as we thought. And that was very near the pit for Gruff. Ooh, and Spawn again getting a bit of air off the spike. But this is, well, suddenly turned on its head. Now Gruff's the one on the attack, and Spawn again is the machine in trouble. And Spawn again now coming back and throwing Gruff up and over. Gruff self-right, Spawn again's ground clearance, helping knock Gruff into the air and up and over. That's one advantage that Spawn again has over Gruff. And it's a telling factor because throughout this, Gruff's the one who's been in trouble. Oh, Gruff nearly in the bit of oblivion. Can Spawn again push them down it? No. Almost had them down there though, but now a good flip in, and now push them into the pit. And that's the end of Gruff. Into the pit they go. They're not going, well, they're not getting a point. for their team in this fight. The point goes to Spawn again. Well done. And just parks up where they started from. So it's like, yep, I'm done here. Let's move on. Well, fair enough then. Can't really argue with that tone. Spawn again, pretty much dominant the entire time. Gruff had no real response, and in the end, ended up going down the pit. Surprised Spawn again didn't try and flip them at the arena. What's impressed with that? But hey, you do you. Next up, it's the flipping arm of Cassius and the spinning blades of Sawblaze. Cassius Flipper. The two drive wheels are connected to a pneumatic suspension system which allows for adjustable ground clearance and easier maneuverability. The CO2 ram is also very powerful and can help self-right if overturned, but the supply is limited, and the high ground clearance can spell trouble for the wheels. Sawblaze Spinner. A very big wedge with a slot down the middle for the swinging arm to come in and drop the spinning saws down. The arm can also help self-right, and has two small caster wheels to help the machine not tip backwards as the weapon is a bit big and heavy. However, while the arm can help self-right, it is actually quite slow.
Robot ears, stand by.
Cassius with the CO2-powered ram and the hydraulic suspension system, and Sawblaze with the swinging circular saw arm that is slow, as we saw in its fight against Monsoon in the Retro Wars competition last week. And now, just ramps off of Cassius, and it's very quick as well. It's quicker than Cassius off the mark, which is a surprise, but Cassius now coming in and throwing Sawblaze up and over, and colliding with the floor flipper, which now goes up for some bloody reason, as it has every single time. Sawblaze bringing the arm down. There's no one underneath you, boys. Cassius getting away to try and slide underneath Sawblaze, but it's Sawblaze getting underneath Cassius instead and bringing that arm down again. While there's no one under it, like I said, it's very slow, so it's almost pointless for that arm to fire. And Sawblaze nearly down the pit there. Had they been a little bit closer to the overside, they would have been down the pit. Once again, Cassius underneath, trying to throw them over. And now Sawblaze down the pit, and that's the end of Sawblaze. Ramps off Cassius here as they fire their arm, and they've overshot the pit. And down they go. There's no coming back from that for Sawblaze. They're in the pit. They're out of the competition. Well done, Cassius. They get another point for Retro Robot Wars. Well. It's 2-0 so far. Is it going to be an upset for the next fight, I wonder? Sawblaze. Yeah, you can keep trying, Sawblaze. You can keep trying to bounce off the tires and off the wall. With the type of weapon you have, you're not coming out. So you might as well just stop trying. You're not going to bounce out. You're not going to defy the laws of gravity. You are stuck in the pit. You're not coming out of it. You've lost. Cassius has won and got the point. 2-0 for Robot Wars. And can we have a 3? Probably not, actually. With now next fight, I think it might actually go to Battlebots this time around with Nemesis and Retro War Champions Blacksmith. Nemesis Rambot. Well, don't think you can get more retro than this. Why exactly is he smoking a light? I thought we had a ban on that. Well, he's going to be going over flames, so I guess everyone just decided screw it and went for lunch. There really isn't much going on in terms of effective weaponry, and there's no Shreemac. Blacksmith Flipper Axebot. They delivered an impressive performance in the Retro Wars competition by coming out on top as its champion. In fact, this version of Blacksmith has been more successful than the 3 versions the teams entered into the main competition. The drive is strong and effective, and the hammer comes down hard, and the front scoop has shown a level of effectiveness, even if it has been limited.
Robot ears, stand by.
The embodiment of retro machines, I think, in the form of Nemesis, a Series 1-2 build from the original Robot Wars series, now with a front cigarette for some bloody reason, and our Retro Wars champions Blacksmith, with the hammer and the small lifting scoop.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Oh, and I should also mention very good drive! And getting deflected by that cigarette coming out of Nemesis' mouth. I didn't expect that. I did expect Blacksmith to slam Nemesis into the wall, but now that smoke on Nemesis seems to be causing problems for Blacksmith. And that I genuinely didn't expect. I thought Nemesis was just here as a little bit of fun, but no, it's actually being quite a menace. Now it's stuck on the wall, back down, and surprisingly, it's actually putting up a fight. I didn't think Nemesis would be a challenge for Blacksmith, who's slamming it into the wall and trying to get it up and over. But Nemesis, surprisingly, has surprised me, and it's being effective. It's actually not going, nearly got them down a bit, and they didn't follow up. Why did Blacksmith not follow up? Maybe they want to get them up and over first, and slamming them against the wall, and have them over. No, their smoke stops that. They come back down. Look at the slam here. They go up onto the wall, and could end up and over, but that smoke helps them fall back down onto the spike. That smoke seems to actually help them if they're stuck on the wall. And it's suddenly become a more effective tool than I originally gave it credit for. And it's gone through the armor of Blacksmith. And Blacksmith, shockingly, are in trouble here from a very old machine that was built back in 1997. Keep that in mind here. This is a 1997 build, and it's giving this machine problems. Not anymore though, up and over. That's what Blacksmith was after. A good push with a help from the swinging hammer, and over goes Nemesis. Their great run ends here, their great challenge. And it was a great challenge from Nemesis, it has to be said, but that's where it ends, into the pit. And it's Blacksmith who gets the point for BattleBots. The Retro BattleBots team finally gets a point, and it's Nemesis who sadly crashes out into the pit this time around. And again, that being said, they did put up a great performance. And it should also be stated that even I didn't expect Nemesis to perform as well as it did in this fight. I'm genuinely surprised. Caught me off guard, but in the end, I think the outcome was almost inevitable. Blacksmith takes the win, and that's 2-1 now. And how will the next fight go between Hypnodisc and Hijinks? Hypnodisc Spinner. Basically the same build really. All they did was replace the armor shell with a much lighter 6mm aluminium shell, thinner streamer, and a lighter but still as destructive flywheel. Other than that, nothing's really any different from how it appears in the main competition, and that includes the exposed wheels. Hijinks Spinner. Definitely one of the widest machines we've ever had on Robot Wars, and with an interesting weapon setup too. a big undercutter spinning bar that spins very fast and can be rather headache-inducing if taken head-on, but the exposed wheels might just prove to be their downfall.
Robot ears, stand by.
Hypno Disc with the lethal flywheel, and Hijinks with the undercutter spinning bar.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Question of effectiveness here, and I think, honestly, it might be Hijinks who will be more effective because that is an undercutter bar, and it can get underneath the flywheel and help get underneath Hypnodesk and cause problems for them, which it is doing right now, and easily hit those wheels. The exposed wheels, and Hypnodesk is in trouble. Is there anything Hypnodesk can do to Hijinks apart from drive over their wheels? Don't think there is. Can Hypnodesk cause any damage? Well, something's come off of Hijinks. I wonder how superficial that is. And Hypnodesk, oh, underneath the pit! But a Hijinks falls! Hijinks falls into the pit, and only just, look at this! Hypnodesk close to the pit, and then Hijinks almost had them in. But they end up down the pit instead. That's the end of Hijinks, and Hypnodesk wins the 3rd point for Robot Wars. Although it has to be said, Hypnodesk very lucky. If Hijinks had slammed into Hypnodesk from behind, that would be them falling and Hijinks taking the point. But no, Hijinks for some reason decided to tackle them sideways. So they lose the point, Hypnodesk takes it, and now for the next fight between the Dark Destroyer and Rotator. The Dark Destroyer Spinner. The rear rotating blades are the only real weapon the machine has, and that's if they can even get them into play. The design of the machine is quite unique, as we've not really seen anything like this before, especially with the drive motors being inside the head. But that doesn't mean controlling the machine is made easier, and they can't self-right. Rotator Spinner. A rather simple diamond-shaped build with 2 spinning flywheels, one at the top at the rear and another at the front attached to the bottom, serving as an undercutter. And with the machine being invertible, even if they do get flipped, that doesn't really affect the weaponry, as all that would happen would be the swap places. But the exposed wheels may prove to be a cause for concern for the team.
Robot ears, stand by.
The Dark Destroyer with the rear propeller blade and rotator with its 2 flywheels, one on the top, one on the bottom. Neither of these machines have had any real success,
3,
honestly.
2, 1. Activate.
This could help give one a much better send-off, and it's gonna be a better send-off. It'll be a better send-off for Rotator. Look at this, in the opening seconds, and Dark Destroyer's been shredded. Off comes the wheel and flung away, and that is a... well, I wasn't expecting it to be that quick. And Rotator, desperate to end their run in this series on a high, and it'll be a high to remember. A very quick dismantling of the Dark Destroyer, and coming in again and shredding the rear wedge. And the Dark Destroyer, well, they're completely immobilized, really. There's nothing they can do. They can't drive. Flung away again. Something else has come off the Dark Destroyer. And now their backs come out. Oh dear, oh dear. The Dark Destroyer being ripped apart. And that is just brilliant. And it is great to see now. Electronics on fire. And now completely severed. There's the head, separate from the machine, and a rotator. Well, I'm very much down the and our rotator joins them. Look at this. That's the attack. Off comes the weapon. Off comes the body. The head separate, and then flung away and spins across the floor like a Beyblade. Down the pit of oblivion as Rotator heads off to join them into the pit. And it's Rotator who gets the victory. Out of the pit comes the head. Well, that was more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. As well as more destructive than I thought it was going to be. That's one hell of a send-off and one hell of a way to end your run in the series. Well done, Rotator. Good grief, that's high AF levels of destruction. Next up, Chaos and Duck. Chaos Flipper. Team Chaos were originally going to compete with this machine for the third Wars, but wanted to try and get Chaos 2 working before bringing the old version into the ring. Thankfully, lots of teams were willing to help get Chaos 2 ready. This version, being the original, has a very narrow flipping arm with two-wheel drive and a similar drive as Chaos 2 does, making it quick and nippy. The blade can also be used as a ramming spike, which is interesting, and can allegedly self-right, which they'll need as Chaos 1 has a humongous ground clearance. Duck Lifter. A very straightforward box design with a front lifting duck bill with very impressive driving speed. The invertible design also makes flipping it up and over seemingly pointless as it'll still drive on, but the exposed fields are going to prove to be an issue, as are the vulnerable sides.
Robot ears, stand by.
Chaos with the front flipping blade, and Duck with the front lifting wedge face that did very well in Retro Wars.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Reached the third round before falling to the likes of Blacksmith, and just then, and again there, Duck nearly fell into the pit, and again, and they would have given Chaos an instant victory there. Chaos, roly-poly, flung up, and Chaos running away now to try and come back and get in an attack on Duck. Not gonna happen. Chaos stuck on the side. Can Chaos get away? They have now, thanks to Duck. Duck getting over the flames. I'm not interested in grilled duck at the moment, thank you. Try again later. Duck on the attack again on Chaos. And again, don't forget, Chaos has a very high ground clearance. And Duck can easily take advantage of that, and they're proving it here, and they're playing very close to the pit! And down the pit goes Chaos, and Duck follows suit. Brilliant. Well, I feel like that was almost inevitable at that point, when they're that close to the pit. Chaos a bit too quick for its own liking. Down the pit they go. Duck may follow suit, but they get the point for BattleBots. And commiserations to George Francis and Team Chaos. Poor guys, they haven't really had a great run this series, have they? Not with Chaos 2, and not with Chaos. That is a bit of a shame, but hopefully next time they do a lot better. Well done to Duck as they get their... Why is that exclamation mark not gold? Why is it white? Someone screwed up, didn't they? Anyway, next up, Kilotron and Monsoon. Kilotron, Axebot. You're just asking to get flipped over with all that ground clearance. The exposed wheels are also a problem if they encounter a spinning blade. The axe seems like it could be an effective weapon as it swings both ways with a fair amount of force, but the biggest issue the machine has is that the armor is made out of plastic wheelie bins. Yes, you heard me right, the armor is bloody plastic. Are you kidding me? Monsoon! Spinner! We saw a level of promise in the machine. The blade was fairly effective and didn't let up as it tore Sawblaze's weapon apart. And the added trick of running upside down aided them in battle as well. Sadly, the only thing that really screwed them over was their drive, which really isn't all that good.
Robot ears, stand by.
Kilotron with the plastic armor and the pickaxe, and Monsoon with the invertible body shell and the spinning blade. And will their drive be better in this fight, I wonder?
3, 2, 1, activate.
It wasn't so great in its fight with Sawblaze, nor was it against Duck. The weapon, however, seems to have done a little bit of damage, and some more damage to the armor of Kilotron, while they drop down that pickaxe. Kilotron hasn't really had a great level of success here. They haven't had the creators of time in this series. Hope to see them back again for Series 4, and hopefully they do a bit better. Meanwhile, swinging their hammer, their axe down to try and do something, and I think they've got it. Yes, they had it in the mechanism to stop that spinning blade of Monsoon. And can they get it there again? Because I think if they can get it there, they might be able to control where Monsoon goes, and I think they've done it here. And Monsoon, as I said, they don't have the greatest of drives, and Kilotron takes advantage and throws Monsoon into the pit. A great victory and a final hurrah for Kilotron in this series, as they get another point for Robot Wars in this Retro Showdown. Commiserations to Monsoon. But it's Kilotron walking away with a point and ending their series of the Third Wars on a high. Well done to Kilotron, and they used their axe strategically well despite some bits of damage dealt to them by Monsoon, getting their pickaxe in where the blade was and using it to drag and control them towards the pit. A great maneuver there from Kilotron, well done to them. And now it's Stegosaurus and Riptide. Stegosaurus Rambot. Living proof that not all dinosaurs are extinct, the rear spiked tail can flick up into the air to do something, we're not quite sure what, and the drive on this machine is genuinely pretty impressive. But the armor is quite thin, which could prove to be a worry going forward. Riptide Spinner. The main weapons are the two spinning flywheels at the front with a four-wheel drive, and is one of the few machines to enter our warzone with a roll cage. Not many do that. The roll cage is designed to help roll the machine back over onto its wheels when flipped over, which couldn't be hard for anyone to do as their sides are very vulnerable.
Robot ears, stand by.
Stegosaurus with the brute force drive and the rear flipping tail, and Riptide with the roll cage and the two small flywheel blades. I don't think they'll need the roll cage in this fight.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Stegosaurus doesn't have any real ways of flipping them over. And Stegosaurus trying to charge in at Riptide and manages to get underneath them courtesy of the blades of Riptide. And Stegosaurus now to push and shove and drive Riptide away. But now Riptide can come in on the attack now and cause problems to Stegosaurus, and they're stuck on his side. Is there any way for Stegosaurus to come back? Yes, there is. And drove into the pit. Riptide nearly falling in as well. Well, that's the end of Stegosaurus. That fight is quicker than I thought it would. Riptide's now in the pit as well. But it's Stegosaurus who fell first. Riptide will be getting a point for BattleBots. And it is a bit of a shame for Stegosaurus because they did seem to be on top at first. Unfortunately, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes here on Robot Wars. Better luck next time, Stegosaurus, but for now, you crash, and it's Riptide getting the point, evening it all up to 4-all, and the next two fights could change everything. And let's see how they turn up with our next fight between Mortis and Tombstone. Mortis, Flipper Axe Bot. Without a doubt has been Mortis' best series ever, reaching the series semi-finals and coming runner-up in the All-Stars. The armor being coated in silicon carbide has proven to be a real benefit for the most part, and the axe is still as fast and dangerous as ever. The lifting arm is also still a key instrument in its run across the arena floor, but the tracks have caused problems with the team in the past, and the ground clearance is quite high. Tombstone Spinner. Have they managed to repair the damage done to them in their fight against Deep Six, which caused them to have to withdraw from the competition? If they have, the weapon should be working at 100% and shred through whoever comes into contact with it. But the real question is, have they done anything to protect not just the exposed wheels, but the motor housings as well?
Robot ears, stand by.
Mortis, with the Tanto axe blade and the lifting arm combined with the silicon carbide armor. And Tombstone, the two-wheel drive box bot, with the big spinning bar.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Again, the question lingers. Have they fixed the damage they took from Deep Six? Based on that, I'm guessing no, because they've driven themselves into the arena wall and have gotten themselves stuck. And that's giving Mortis the chance to drop their axe down. Now they're free. And Mortis, they come in with the lifting arm. And maybe try and lift them up. Maybe, I don't know. What can Mortis do to Tombstone? Tombstone seems to just be driving rather aimlessly. Really? Gets a little bit of air off of Mortis, and has actually done some damage to Mortis. I think a part of the arm's gone, there's a panel gone as well, and I think their axe is gone as well, and they're in the pit. Another panel's gone, but it's Tombstone into the pit, and it's Mortis getting that 5th crucial point for Team Robot Wars, and BattleBots are 1 point away from being eliminated. Tombstone, commiserations, but you're done. And that makes this next fight crucial for BattleBots to stay in this competition. Tombstone, honestly, they did okay, but sadly not enough. Mortis took that win, and can Behemoth finish the stronger, or will Beta up in Behemoth and take the point for themselves? Behemoth, Flipper Axe Bot. Looks very similar to the machine competing in the main competition. We actually saw this version back in the first wars. It didn't go very far and wasn't all that fast either. The team figured it'd be nice to bring it back for one last assault. Well, let's see how the lifting bucket and top axe do here. and also see if they can conserve their CO2 supply. Beta Axebot. Built out of aluminium and steel with polycarbonate panels, as like with the original Beta, as well as John Reed's other two machines, Kilohertz and Terahertz, though this machine much bigger than them all. The big hammer can also serve as a Shrimek if ever overturned, and the low wedges add for pushing power. But they'll need to be careful if they come across spinners, because the polycarbonate panels help them see exactly where their most vital electrical components are located.
Robot ears, stand by.
The final fight of this conflict, Behemoth with the lifting bucket and their top axe, and Beta with the two side spikes and a swinging
3,
hammer.
2, 1, activate.
And I think there's a... Wow! Behemoth! They're already on the other side of the arena! How about that? They weren't like that back in Series 1. They barely moved. So, Behemoth, this version, suddenly starts working. And is actually doing very well here against Beta, who are stuck on top and cannot get off. No matter how many times they swing their hammer, can they escape? They finally do. But Behemoth underneath them once again. And Beta... Oh, hello, what's going on here? Beta, can they escape? I don't know. I'm not convinced. They're trying. They're swinging the hammer madly to try and get away from Behemoth. And Behemoth, I think, is using their axe on Beta here. Beta still swinging, trying to get away. And if Behemoth can continue that push, they'll be sending Beta down the pit. But no. They push away. There you can see the axe of Behemoth slicing and swinging into the underbelly of Beta, who are still swinging the hammer trying to escape. And Behemoth is doing something they shouldn't be doing. They should not be pinning Beta against the arena wall. We've had issues with this, and this could end in a disqualification for Behemoth. And it could give Beta the win by default. And interestingly though, Behemoth isn't using their lifting scoop. They're not flipping Beta. Well, they're away from the wall, and Behemoth pushing away, leading them into another wall. Beta still trying to swing themselves off, but they can't. And I don't think Behemoth is giving them that chance. They probably should, just to be a bit more sporting. But, hey, this will go for the judges, and oh, both very near the pit. Look at this. Beta nearly in the pit, and Behemoth just over it. That could have been very bad for both of them. Especially Behemoth, because they had no idea how far towards the pit they were. They're very lucky. Beta trying to swing and swivel away from the pit and get away from Behemoth. Can they finally... Yes, they can finally get away. And now on the spike. And now Behemoth in trouble and flying up and over. And then that could be a problem. They've been righted down by Beta, but look at this. The spike sends Behemoth up and over. And they don't seem to be able to right themselves from there. Behemoth now underneath Beta, pushing them against the wall and flipping them over. And now Beta to show off that self-righting mechanism. And it's flinging them very high into the air. How many CO2 canisters do you use for that weapon? Because it seems a bit too powerful in that regard. Beta now trying to escape. Or are they? Are they trying to use the spike on the floor to their advantage? Because it caused Behemoth a little worry. And I think that's what Beta's trying to do. They're trying to use that spike to their advantage and get underneath Behemoth and give them a push towards the pit, and down they go. And that's that. Beta wins and ties it all up. Behemoth's in the pit, Beta gets the point, we're left with a tie. And we don't do ties on Robot Wars, that's not how we roll. So, 5 for Robot Wars, 5 for Battleboards. They'll each have to go back into the pits and choose who will represent them in the final showdown. But first up, while they're doing that, let's have us a little interesting vengeance. See who is the lethalest house robot ever, Killalot or Psycho? Sir Killalot, Crusher! Our master of disaster with a much higher weight that'll make toppling him even more of a challenge. Over 500 kilos of doom and gloom, a lance to chew, the hydraulic claw will cut through, and will be dropping what's left of you down the loo. Virtually indestructible, has never really been defeated, and doubtful that it'll happen here. The tracks may be exposed, and he may not have the greatest of armor protection. But believe me when I say that defeating Sir Killalot is a lot easier said than done. Mr. Psycho! Crusher Axebot! You thought Killalot was mean and fearsome? Well, medieval incarnate, with evil coursing through his veins and will destroy anyone who dares challenge him. His huge hand will pick you up for him to then do with you whatever he wants at his leisure, powered by 2 9-ton hydraulic rams, and his big hammer will come down at a deadly force weighing 30 kilos. If you thought defeating Killalot was hard, then just come try your luck with Psycho.
Roboteers, stand by.
The biggest vengeance we have ever seen in Robot Wars, with Sir Killalot, with his lance and crushing jaws, and Mr. Psycho with his own crushing hand and ginormous hammer.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Our 2 colossal house robots to go head to head in this mother of all vengeances, and Psycho getting his hammer down on Killalot, dropping it down on his head. Is that going to do anything? Well, Mr. Psycho says yes, as he almost topples over Killalot. And looking at it, suddenly this yeah, I'm just gonna keep dropping my hammer down on your head and hope to either give you brain damage or concussion, or I'll just reverse my bum into the pits and nearly fall. I'll do that as well, or I'll just push you into the pit and watch you crumble. And now I'll try and play nice and drag you out or overbalance while doing it. That's a surprise. And can Mr. Psycho get Killalot out of the pit, I wonder? He's trying. I think he's just pushed him back in. But it'd be great to see if Mr. Psycho can get Killalot out of the pit. Killalot stuck in there and doesn't have the greatest of pushing power against Psycho, as we saw. Psycho seems to be struggling here. He can grab a hold of Killalot rather easily, I think. Come on. Spin around, stop showboating. Try and get Killalot out. Or are you just not gonna bother? Oh, the spike. Doing very well to hoist Psycho up into the air. And I think Psycho's given up. He's not gonna try get Killalot out again. He's taking this as is, with him standing victorious as the ultimate house robot, and Killalot laying in defeat. Our Knight of the Round Table dethroned. Mr. Psycho comes out on top as our ultimate house robot. Now for the main event. And we have our lineup. It's Cassius, who will be representing Robot Wars, and it'll be the Retro Wars Champions Blacksmith for BattleBots. This for the tiebreaker.
Roboteers, stand by.
Our final showdown, the tiebreaker with Cassius and the CO2-powered ram, along with Retro Wars champions Blacksmith with the lifting scoop and their hammer.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
It's all come down to this. The tiebreaker and Cassius underneath Blacksmith and flipping them onto their side. And I think that this is the first real time Blacksmith's been in danger of anything. I don't really think they've been in this level of danger before. They've had struggles, yes, but not in this level of danger. They flipped again, righted. And Cassius pushing away and getting underneath. The ground clearance at the front is very low. And flipped Blacksmith over again. They've self-rated. And what can Blacksmith do here? Besides get stuck on top of the front and now seem to be pushing away at Cassius. And that is the vulnerable side to Cassius. The sides and Blacksmith to push away. And now Cassius underneath again and are close to that pit. Can Cassius throw them away? Yes, throws them up and over. They self-right. Blacksmith pushing away. But they're the flipping arm. Ooh, and nearly in the pit. And that's a very close call for Cassius. They almost had that. Blacksmith rights themselves again. And Cassius using their front to slide underneath effortlessly on Blacksmith. That shouldn't be a difficult word for me to say. But now Blacksmith coming in on the attack on Cassius, slamming them while dropping their hammer. Where has my language gone today? I don't know. It's in this fight, it's just decided, yeah, bye, you're on your own. Brilliant. That's all I need. Cassius! Underneath Blacksmith again. Blacksmith dropping their hammer, and they're very close to that pit. And can Blacksmith avoid the pit? No! They're down it! They're gone! Cassius went in for Robot Wars! Look at this! They tried avoiding. I don't know what they were doing here. They spin, they turn, and they fall down the pit. And it's Cassius taking that final tiebreaker point for Robot Wars. And what a fantastic battle this was! A great tussle, but Cassius takes the win. A great, seemingly even battle comes to an end with Blacksmith down the pit as Cassius stands victorious as they claim the tiebreaker for Robot Wars. But an absolutely fantastic episode nonetheless, and I'd love to have another just like this in the future. But until then, take care, and I'll see you next time. Farewell.